Dr. Angela Stanton, what an absolute honor it is to welcome you back to Boundless Body Radio.
Yay, welcome back. Hey, I'm really happy to see you again.
It's really happy to see you. I have very fond memories of our first two conversations. And I do mean it. They are some of the most downloaded episodes that we have ever done. Going back and listening to some of them, the numbers really didn't compute to me kind of the first time that we talked, where you said like 10 to 15% of people have migraines, somewhere in that range. And, it doesn't sound like that much, but when you start crunching the numbers of how many people are in this country, let alone the world, that have migraine, it's such a huge issue that I don't think it gets enough attention. People ask us about it all the time. They tell us about what treatments they're doing. None of them really seem to work. It's such a fascinating problem.
It is indeed. And just now I'm working on an academic article, and I had to, again, you do the usual summary, how many people, what percent. And I said, wow, wait a minute, 10 to 15%, that's more than 1 billion people on the planet Earth today, if you consider that. And so it is a huge number. But I have to say that I now, in my migraine group, which is now about 12 years old and currently has about 20,000 members, but membership changes, people who completely recover, they come and go. And I find, so a total of about 30,000 members over the past 12 years. And I find that now I'm having a questionnaire and people fill out, or what kind of pain, where does the pain hurt, all the questions. And basically I'm going through the questionnaire similar to what is the International Headache Society's the diagnostic guideline. Do you really have migraine? And I find out that a very large percent of people actually are misdiagnosed. They don't have migraine. They have something completely different. And most often it's occipital neuralgia or cervicogenic headache or cluster headache. These are the three most common headaches that are misdiagnosed, at least of the people coming into my group. And so now I'm questioning this 10 to 15%.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, one of my first questions to you was going to be if you had learned much about migraine since the last time we talked, and we haven't spoken until or since 2022 was the last episode that we did. That's absolutely fascinating. So, what do you think that percentage might be closer to?
I would say that probably the 10% is probably more correct.
Okay.
But that 10% includes, there's some transient migraine occupants. For example, for boys, they tend to outgrow their migraine completely in puberty and never ever have it again. Not all of them, but a very large percent of them do. And there's an evolutionary reason behind this, which I discuss in my book. And so these are transient migraineurs. And so maybe a large percent of boys before puberty have migraine, but then they stop. And so they're no longer part of the migraine population. Whereas for girls, it's the other way around. They will not have a migraine until puberty, and then they're going to have it for the rest of their lives. And so it's kind of mixed. So we can't really come up with an actual number as a result of that. But I would say that the transient population incorporated and all the misdiagnosis and everything is probably more than 15%. But then when you remove the misdiagnosis, it's probably around 10%.
I thought we were going to ease into this episode and have some pleasantries first. I've already learned so much in the first few minutes. It's absolutely fascinating. I had no idea. I was just trying to think to myself, okay, you have the most amazing community. You've been grateful enough to let me join your group and be a part of it, even though I don't suffer from migraine. So I really appreciate it. I've gotten to know the community. They're all very kind and supportive, and I get to see what's going on with them and things that they're learning. I have seen the questionnaire that you're referencing, which is a really helpful tool as well. And I would have to think this has got to be one of the top migraine pages on Facebook. You're talking about numbers, currently at 20,000, but again, things are shifting and changing, and that number's got to be way north of 30,000 for people that have been on the page before and probably fixed things and left and whatever. And that's such a small number. And then to say not most, but a lot of those people, a large number of those people are misdiagnosed. It's absolutely staggering. Where are these other people? Are the number of other people that are not getting any help is just, it's still so high, even if the percentage is so much lower than we thought.
It is. And so the other problem that comes with this is that if a lot of people with headache who don't have migraine get misdiagnosed as migraine, then what about the people who do have migraine? Are they misdiagnosed as something else? And I'm sure that there are. I see a few, not too many, because most of the people who come in, they were diagnosed with migraine. Maybe there are a certain percent, I don't know, who haven't been, and they're recognizing over time that, oh, wow, I had this, and I didn't know that was migraine. So it could very well be. But what I am seeing in general is that there there are a lot of other migrant groups on Facebook. Not just mine is actually not even near the biggest, but it is probably the most active. So we probably have a couple hundred posts a day with people asking for help and receiving assistance in one way or another. And of course, in other groups that may even have a lot more migrants, they're mostly medicine oriented. And so what we found is that, for example, some of our members are in those groups as well, because that's maybe where they started. And then maybe somebody there told them about this group and then they joined in. And we're completely free. And, everybody does whatever they do. And we help them even financially if they can't afford to buy the book or can't afford to get the blood glucose and blood ketone meters. We actually have a nonprofit that provides for that for members in the United States. And so we are not really that big, but we are the most powerful. But what happens in other groups, when somebody from our group says, well, but there's the Stanton migraine protocol, which is this, they usually get kicked out. So this is still going on. I mean, this started, I will never forget the day, 12 years ago, when I was kicked literally off of Facebook as a result of one person trying to get rid of me. And she is a doctor somewhere, and or at least has a medical doctor degree. I don't know if she's actually special, working as a doctor, but they so badly want to get rid of anything that would be helping migraineurs that is not medicinal. So we are probably the largest, if not the only group that is a non-medicinal help, and with literally 100% guarantee for all members who have migraines. But they have to understand that they have to answer the questionnaire. We have to know that they're migraineurs. If they're not, the protocol may or may not work. We don't know, because it's not for other headache types. It's very specifically for migraine. And for migraine, it's 100%.
And yeah, so I just want you to reiterate. You said 100%. If they
100%.
truly have migraine, 100%.
It's 100%.
That's incredible.
It is incredible.
That's
so
incredible.
That just tells you that we know what migraine is. We know it is basically associated with modern day. It's a lifestyle condition. It's a genetic condition. It's a serious condition. It's very different from, it's a different brain from a non-migraine brain. It is something that if you read my book, then you're going to understand the genetic reason why we have this different brain. Because a migraine brain is basically a hypersensitized brain. We have a lot more connections between the sensory neurons associated with light, sound, odor, and touch. And so this provided protection. I mean, consider yourself, I don't know, 100,000 years ago, you're in the savannah somewhere and the lion is attacking you. Wouldn't that be to your benefit to sort of kind of know that the lion is there, like miles before the lion is chasing you? And so if you look back at the hunter-gathering tribes, for what we believe human ancestors were living based on that way, then of course the men are going to be the ones hunting. So they're going to have the spear and the weapons, and they're going to be actively chasing animals. So they will not be the target of becoming food themselves for the lion or the tiger, right? But the women and children remained at home in the fields squatting. Well, they are the ideal target. And so this is why you see that women and children will be a lot more sensitized, and they will have a lot more sensory organs, the connections between the sensory neurons for discovering the environment is going to be a lot more enhanced. But what happens is with boys, when they start puberty, they are now men. They go and join the men for hunting, right? So in puberty, the migraine brain disappears because they no longer need those tools.
That is absolutely fascinating.
It is fascinating. It is totally fascinating. Now, this is my hypothesis. This is not something that you can read just in every academic literature. This is my theory. It's in academic literature published by me, and it's in my book. But so you can tell that this is a different brain for a specific reason, and it's not an illness, it's not a disease, but in our modern lifestyle, it becomes one because of what we eat and how we live.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it's a hypothesis. We don't know for sure, but this is why I really love the work of somebody like Mickey Bendor, who, looks into this kind of thing and looks into evolution. And the thing I like about it is it's what we call unifying. Like it explains, like you see these different pieces that is, the archaeology, the human design, what we think may have happened, all this stuff, and you come up with a theory that fits all the pieces together, and it makes sense. Like what you just
Right.
explained makes perfect sense for what you're noticing today. As you mentioned that earlier in the conversation, and I was thinking to myself, like, why would being a man versus being a female, why would that change when migraines go away for you? That fits that explanation. I really like it. That's so interesting.
And this connecting the dots is what basically you're referring to.